Hey everybody. If you noticed, if you checked out my web, my YouTube page, you will see that it says deprogramming souls. Basically, it's not something that I do for people. It's something they do for themselves. I've searched for years inside myself for the best way to help people, to share with them, to explain, to um, and it gets down to something as simple as: are you willing to question for yourself? Are you willing to go to take steps, your own steps, to find out the answer to your own question? Like if I tell you you've been lied to, don't ask me what's their motivation for lying. The real question is, have you asked them? Have you even checked the validity of their claim? Have you questioned anything? Anything to really want to know what the truth is? What are we willing to do to find out what the truth really is? Are you willing? Meaning, step outside and see if you can find out, step to the water and see if you can see a boat going beyond your line of your eyesight, your perspective. First of all, let's see if you can do that. Really easy. Then let's see if you can take a zoom lens and see further than that. Then you can see that at least the difference between what the photo lens will show you and your own eyesight. These are steps you can take. And it doesn't really matter what it is. Whatever question you have, are you willing to ask yourself? I'd venture to say the majority of us, the answer is no. Why? Because we were taught that someone else has the answer. We were taught to believe in authority, and not just authority, but higher authority, higher than you. And so all of our answers we're taught comes from somebody else, leaving us sitting on the couch looking into this object. And even though I live in a multi-dimensional so-called space, more than two dimensions, when you look back at me, when you're looking at me, you see a two-dimensional flat image. And we use that as evidence. And I'm saying get out into reality and question for yourself. Anything that's been claimed. If it's God, question God directly. Don't let anybody come between you and God. Don't let an object come between you and God, such as the book or that written words, blah, blah, blah. No. Go directly to God. You notice Jesus didn't stop. Even in that story, he went to God. In most cases, he was talking to God without anybody else around. When he prayed, he went by himself. And my whole point is to say, practice questioning what you really have questions for, and don't get upset when somebody else is not able to answer them for you, because they're your questions and you're responsible for your questions, right? Aren't you responsible for your life? Moving your legs, moving your arms, putting food to your own mouth. How about that? So if we can do anything, we can encourage each other to question. I don't make this so that you will stop here. I make this so that you will start to refer back to yourself, because ultimately that's what you've basically been taken mostly away from. We're taught to listen to others, but not listen to ourselves. We're taught to ask others questions. Research is like looking into somebody else's work, but not your own. Not your own questions, or like trusting yourself. I'm 55 years old, and for my entire life, I've been taught to be amenable. And if you look up that word, amenable, I've been taught to be obedient and responsible and responsive to authority and to what some others say. And I really only get good grades in school because I regurgitated what I was told to say by the so-called authority. I'm not allowed to question whether this earth is round or flat. Why? Because, you know, my friends and family and many others will look at me with ridicule as if that's a demonstration of anything except perhaps their ignorance, perhaps their unwillingness to question their own reality. I don't consider myself particularly smart, but I don't know. It appears to be that there's more than one way of looking at this, and I'd like for you to discover yours. As far as I can tell, everything that I've been told about a globe Earth appears to be a lie. I don't feel like I'm moving. I don't feel uh, like the earth underneath my feet is moving. I don't feel like this so-called earth is spinning. I don't feel any of that. I don't feel a pull underneath my feet. My feet touch the ground, but I don't feel a constant pull. Now, it may be, but it hasn't been proven to me yet. I don't accept that that would be called gravity. I don't accept that there's been a pulling taking place. But hey, I can learn. I'm still open. I'm willing to I'm willing to have someone prove it to me, but calmly, and without force. Because since I've been alive, by the very definition of the law, the definition I'm speaking of is the rule of the conduct of society enforced by the threat of punishment. Most of that threat of punishment is what I've been feeling, not the spinning. I feel the coercion, the threat of punishment all day long. If you don't pay this, we'll send you to jail. If you don't pay this, blah, blah, blah. I'll stop loving you. I'll stop being around you. I will whatever. Threats, 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 threats. I will divorce you. I will whatever. But the the point is, at what point, I think one of the greatest things ever that the whole flat Earth realm even helps us do is to find out, like, mainly we talk about it as if it's the shape of the Earth that we're really talking about. It turns out to be the shape of your thoughts. The shape of your thoughts. What shape will you allow your thoughts to take? And then build upon that. And it's okay the way I look. I love the fantasy of the ball Earth. Brilliant story. But in truth, when I walk, it seems like it appears everything is flat. And it's just more of a plane than a planet. That I don't see it. Now, it's not because I haven't wanted to see it. I'm 55 years old. I've done everything I can to believe, and I recognize my beliefs were not good enough. My belief didn't carry me, so I had to set them down for a moment and start actually looking at some things and questioning some things. So here I am, and I can appreciate those brave people strong enough to stand up for themselves and question their own reality, because they've encouraged me to do the very same thing and to get beyond the traps, the mental traps. One, we were taught that we need to be taught. That's a circular mental trap. It feeds right into amenability, your obedience to authority. I love when Larkin Rose talks about the greatest superstition on earth is the myth of authority. So yeah, I love it. I like questioning things because I feel more alive. I mean, I don't live in the land of make believe anymore. I can actually walk around reality and see others that acknowledge my existence in reality, and we learn some things from our inquiry into other questions that we might have. And you know what? It's as simple as this. Two things. One is the willingness to be honest with yourself. and then hopefully that expands out to your honesty with others. But two, first of all, your honesty with yourself, and second of all, your willingness to question the reality that you live honestly. Simple. I don't. I'm not here to prove anything to anyone. Proof is based on acceptance. So if you're willing, if you're open to see, maybe you'll discover that there are more things to see than what you thought, and maybe you can let go. It's not so difficult. But I recognize I'm very passionate about it. I recognize there are people out there giving their lives every day to make a better world simply by asking questions. You know, Harry and John Smith Globe Lie, Authentic Intent. I just happened to watch one of his videos. I mean, people actually out there interviewing others daily. Jason, John Thor, Roxanne. Just there are many people out there questioning others, and doing research and studying and debunking the myth of authority and debunking the so-called science, which turns out to be the greatest religion on earth at the moment. Because if somebody mentions the word science or scientific fact, oh boy, everybody start listening, and we pay homage and we give more respect if someone can prove that it has been mentioned in science or it's scientific fact. It's written on a page and other people have said that it's a fact, then it must be a fact. And all of a sudden you're supposed to be quiet and, stop thinking. You're supposed to believe at that point, and this shuts down your thinking. Excuse me. So anyway, I encourage you to have enough strength, to have enough courage to question your own reality, all of it, any of it. Wherever you begin, wherever you have enough courage to ask questions, wherever you have enough courage to see if you can see it for yourself, because they claim we are sentient beings, that we have the ability to sense, and you do. You can sense when you need to go to the restroom. If your bladder is pushing and you need to urinate or defecate. If you're hungry, you can sense this. You can sense when you're moving. You can sense when the plane is taking off. You can sense if you're going on a roller coaster up and down. You can sense all these things. Well, use your senses. You can sense if somebody's being inauthentic, not honest. You can sense if you're doing it. And you can even sense when you have stopped. You can sense the feeling of the lack of need to lie and the lack of need to be coerced into believing a lie. Allow yourself to find out how good it feels to feel good, and you can define that for yourself, what good means to you, and let yourself make it as good as you like it. And usually that will come because you're willing to do so. Hopefully you can, not force others to, be under your submission. Yell at them, coerce them, make them feel bad, all because, or extort them, pay them for protection. Anyway, let us learn how to laugh again. I know I feel the same freedom I offer myself is the same freedom I offer the entire world. So feel free. Ask as many questions as you can. You can ask me questions, but I'll tell you that whatever answer I give you, it's not as valuable as your own. No answer that I've ever asked anyone else has been more valuable than my own. So my research has been conducted not by reading books from cover to cover, but by getting into reality, the reality of me and what means the most to me, and what lies I've been told, what claims that have gone unproven that I believed. And so I started checking my beliefs. And then I chucked belief. You know, belief was just in the way. I didn't want to live in the land of make believe. As beautiful as it might appear, I wanted reality. So, at any rate, thanks for listening. And see you next time.